These games are why you pay Micah Parsons $188 million.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
After racking up just 2.5 sacks in his first 5 games for his new team, Parsons put up an all-time performance in the win over the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday, racking up 3 sacks and a tackle for loss in the win. On top of those 3 sacks, preliminary PFF data credited Parsons with 10 pressures, tied for a season high, and a pair of QB hits. One of those sacks came in a crucial moment on the final drive for the Cardinals. With just 32 seconds left, Parsons came away with a sack on Brissett that pushed the Cardinals back to 2nd and 19. The Cardinals were unable to get past the sticks on the ensuing 3 plays, resulting in a game-sealing turnover on downs. Parsons understands that he was brought into Green Bay for exactly these kinds of situations. Here's what he had to say immediately following the game about that final stand.
When it's time to win the game, just something just switches, and that's what we practiced this week. We had a clean 2-minute in practice this week, and it led to having a clean 2-minute in the game. And the one before half was rough. We got fixed that, but I'm just glad we finished that one at the end of the game. Yeah, it's just like, this is what we practice for. This is everything that we worked, everything that we said we wanted to be, and we had our moment. We just took advantage of it. Now it's just about how can we play complete 4 quarters. That second quarter at the end of the half was a little rough by us. Unlike us, I'm just glad that we finished stronger this time. So it kind of was flip-floppy. I just want to do a consistent forward.
It's not like Parsons hasn't been having an impact on the Packers defense, but Sunday was one of those games where fans who have seen some of the flashes finally got to see everything come together into one truly dominant performance for the future Hall of Fame pass rusher. Let's dive into the film from Sunday's win to show you just how dominant Parsons was in today's episode of Best Available. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube if you're not already. You can also follow us on socials at BestAvailableYT and consider becoming a member. I'll leave details of memberships in the description of this episode if you're looking for another way to support the channel. Thank you to everyone who's already become a member. It is a huge help to keeping this project going in the long run. There really is no denying that Parsons is one of the top 1, 2, maybe 3 pass rushers in the NFL. Currently leads the league with 39 pressures. I think it's 3 more than anyone else in the league, despite already having his bye week. Everything he does is impressive. He can win in so many different ways as a pass rusher, and I think you'll see that from today's video. We're going to start early in this game. We have Parsons lined up on a wide technique, and we're just going to get a speed to power rush. And what I love here, he's getting inside the chest of the tackle. Then he's getting extended and he's pulling out that long arm move, right? Like one long arm, try and get it, up high, as low, as high as you can. Ideally, you want your hands above your eyes. You've got forward lean and you're just driving into that pocket and forcing, a veteran quarterback who's not particularly mobile to get and scramble. It's a great job of Brissett to escape, but it's an even better bull rush, in my opinion, by Parsons, who just takes, a pretty, in my opinion, a solid left tackle in Paris Johnson, into the lap of Brissett, just getting that speed to power, especially early in this game when he hasn't really set up anything, to have, Paris not prepared for that. That's a hell of a rush to generate some pressure. You're probably not going to be surprised to hear this, but teams really want to double team Micah Parsons, and I don't blame them. You want as many bodies, slowing down this pass rusher, as many as possible. This is another example of it. We're going to have not a twist, but we're going to have 2 inside cuts from these 2 rushers in Carl Brooks and Parsons. But you can see out of the snap, if you're looking at the eyes here, the guard does not seem remotely worried about Brooks. Eyes continue to look at Parsons. Like, we're having a full slide. We have 3 and a running back and chip to help with 2 rushers. So maybe it's a bad slide in theory, but I don't blame you wanting to slide your protection to the Hall of Fame pass rusher. And even with, again, we're going to see that double inside move from this side. Even with a double team, Parsons splits that so effectively and gets a hit on Brissett. It's just, especially when you're setting up, earlier we showed that speed to power, but now he can flash inside as well. And then so much of this, obviously Parsons is incredibly talented, he's incredibly athletic, but the effort, his motor is white hot at all times. And you'll see that a couple times in this video today, that he is just, once the snap is, until the final whistle, he is going as fast as humanly possible. And it's just a testament It's a testament to the kind of player that he is. As a pass rusher, fatigue sets in, things like that. To play the way he does, to continue just pushing through disadvantageous situations is what makes him special. I was told Micah Parsons couldn't do anything against the run, at least by Cowboys fans at the time of the trade, and Jerry Jones, who made it very clear that the reason they traded away Micah Parsons and received Kenny Clark in return was to stop the run. And I'll give you some things like, there are times Parsons jumps off sides, maybe sometimes he's too focused on the pass rusher and can invite cutback lanes. But for like a sub 250 quote unquote undersized edge, I do think he is way more effective against the run than people give him credit for. So we have number one, Micah Parsons, right here on the right side of the screen. We've got a tight end against him, and maybe the outside contain's not great ideally. If you're an edge setter in this situation, I don't know what their scheme is. I don't know if he's supposed to slant inside on this call. Again, I'm never going to pretend to know what the call is, but in most situations, ideally, I want Parsons' helmet on this side, outside contain. But that doesn't matter for Parsons. This doesn't look like a, great situation for him, right? Hands are too far outside. Looks like this tight end's controlling him. His helmet's inside. But the upper body strength to push off and get some separation and then work his head back outside, widen his base. This is a really awkward angle. Look at that ankle. Like, that doesn't look like a solid base, but his ability to work off that block, stack and shed is what we call it. But his upper body strength to get himself out of that disadvantageous position, work his helmet back outside of the tight end, get that outside contain, and then clean up this run play is just an outstanding job. And I wanted to show a run play, and we'll show actually another one in this video, because I don't think he gets enough love as a run stopper. Like, is he an all-world Max Crosby type against the run? Absolutely not. But I do think he is more than competent and gets, really just crapped on for no reason, in my opinion. It's not like he is just a complete liability against the run. And I think this play in particular is a good example of, how he is a serviceable run defender. I've had to watch this sack a handful of times because there's just subtle movements into it that help Parsons get into the backfield and get this sack. I'm going to show it in full first, and then we can try and break it down. But his ability to get around that edge, the bend is ridiculous, but there's a move right here, and I'm going to try my best to slow it down. Obviously, we're working outside, right? We're trying to fight a hand battle here, all of that. But then there's this move. It almost looks like attempted a hump move. You see his hand here, or a feint at it. It's almost like he's going to take half, maybe a jab step inside to feign the long arm before working back out. And you notice right here, you see his head dip like he's going to feign inside. And then what that does is forces Paris Johnson off balance. All of a sudden, his eyes are looking at dirt. And so we jabbed here, and now we're working out. And it's, a clear run. And then the bends to, still get Brissett as he's stepping up in the pocket. He's got rare bends, man. Like, from even the most awkward situations, his ability to get to the quarterback around the corner is special, special stuff. And again, we'll show right here, almost feigning the long arm, dipping his head, getting Paris Johnson to look down, getting him just ever so slightly off balance. And then, it just gives him that extra couple degrees of an angle. His bend combined with his understanding of what he needs to have an effective bend to get to the quarterback. Like, it's such I keep watching the play because it's just such a subtle move. I keep trying to slow it down, but notice it's again, like half a step jabbed in and then he's bending around. It's the technician that he is on top of the physical tools and effort and everything. I keep saying it. He will be a first ballot Hall of Famer by the end of his career because he's just doing stuff at his age with his production that is just, unreal. This was a bit of a controversial play. This is the hip drop penalty, which is the second, from what I've read, the second hip drop tackle penalty ever called during a game. There have been plenty of fines after the fact for hip drop tackles, but it's rarely ever been enforced in a game. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we even get to the hip drop tackle, we have Parsons over here. I still think this is an awesome play by him. We're going to get an inside rush move right there. Just completely leave the right tackle flat-footed on this pass set, get into the backfield. And then what I love is after he gets inside, the ability to turn the hoop right here and not completely lose. Like, the motor, too many guys trying to turn the hoop here, like especially stiffer, more like think of those linear straight line explosive edge rushers. Once they get inside and get to this, their momentum, let me back it up a little bit. Their momentum is going to take them way past the quarterback. Like turning the hoop right here. A more stiff guy is probably getting here before cutting back. His ability to just not lose speed, change direction, and still get to Brissett. The tools there are just freaky. That is a great inside move. He turns the hoop, doesn't lose speed, but then this is where we get the issue. Guys, mad in the moment that it was enforced, again, because it's very rarely enforced, but like that is textbook hip drop tackle. If you watch his feet on that, like his gravity not only drops, he like throws his feet in front of him. That right there is the mechanics of a hip drop tackle, pretty much to a T. So you can be mad that it's called. I mean, I was in the moment too, just because it's rarely enforced, but especially on a quarterback, like you just don't like you don't see a more textbook example of what they're trying to remove from the game than this. So, be mad in the moment, but it is actually the right call on the hip drop tackle, but that's not why I'm showing the play. It is just that inside rush combined with the ability to change direction so quickly and the motor to get to Brissett, even if the final result was, not ideal. Got another play against the run for you with Micah, who is over here this time. And this is a really nice job of setting the edge against a couple of pullers, too. We've got, I think it's a center and guard. Let me back this up. Yeah, center guard pull. We're going to have the center trying to kick out, or the left guard trying to kick out, and then the center climb. Parsons' ability to recognize this and react. Again, as a sub 250-pound edge rusher, what they're trying to do is kick him out, generate some space, and ideally create a big rush lane, and then allow this climber to get one of these linebackers. I think Parsons gets a wide base. Sorry for that. Gets a wide base and just gets low and just absorbs this. And this is pretty textbook. Like, he is not getting washed out here. It makes this pull a little tougher. It makes this rush lane a little more constricted. And then obviously it's a really nice job from Cooper to blow up the other puller. And then all of a sudden this run's going nowhere. This is partially on Cooper as well. But for a guy, again, who has this reputation of being undisciplined and not being able to help against the run, I thought this was a pretty admirable, effective job of stacking the puller to constrict that rushing lane, not get washed out, and then, help have his teammates clean it up. That's like an unselfish winning play for a defense. Again, really appreciate Cooper flying across the backside to pick up the other puller, get him off balance, and then Bullard cleans up the play. But that doesn't happen if Parsons just lets himself get kicked out here. This blocks a little cleaner, and then we have, a much more wide open rushing lane for this running back. Parsons has all the tools in the world. He can win in so many different ways, but one of the ways he can win and generate pressure is just pure effort. Like, he combines everything with the effort, but there are plays that the technique's not there. It's a sloppy, it's an ineffective play, and he's just going to keep fighting. And this is a great example of this on the left side. Like, kind of trying to work inside, but, arm around him. Maybe, he's got good hand placement here, but it gets ugly. He's getting wrapped around at the helmet, which might, a more ticky-tack ref that's paying attention might call that a hold. But the effort to just fire through that, even when it's not pretty, is just insane effort. Results in a throwaway. It stinks he can't get to the pass, but he wins so quickly. I mean, Brissett's barely at the top of, what is this, a 3-step drop out of gun? Let's try and count it. 1, 2, 3. Yep, hop. By the time he's at the top of his drop, Parsons is already free in the pocket. It's a great job by Brissett to escape the initial pressure. But, man, like, Parsons plays like he's rabid sometimes, man. The effort and motor are unlike anything I've seen from a Packers pass rusher. Maybe Clay Matthews we can talk about, but this is, I'm too young for the Reggie White era. I know how dominant he was. I've seen plenty of tape, like just in awe of the highlights of Reggie White, but from a 32-year-old guy like me, man, like I've never seen this from a Packers guy ever. Um, there's too many things he can do to beat you. And if one of them is just trying harder, like it's game over, man. Like this is a special talent the Packers are dealing with. This is sack number 2 on the day, and honestly, I think this is just taking advantage of what looks like a bad pass set. Obviously, Parsons has a phenomenal get off. He can win with speed, especially if you're unprepared for it. This feels like an example of it, and I don't want you to pay attention to Parsons here. I want you to pay attention to the right tackle and watch this foot. I think he's trying to run. There's a couple different ways you can pass set. And for the sake of this argument, we'll just say there's 2 right now. There's a vertical pass set where ideally you're just trying to gain depth, right? Handle the speed rush, don't get beat outside, right? And you'll see, people like to do it at the bar. The kick steps, right? The kick steps out, and you're just trying to gain depth. So you're pushing off this inside foot and then, sliding back. That's what a vertical set is. Or you can jump set, where you're just trying to get out quickly, force the issue. The problem with that, sometimes if you're not prepared for it, it does give a two-way go to the pass rusher. But if you catch them off guard because they're focusing on speed, it can be an effective tool. What I'm confused by here is where that step's going. It looks like he's trying to do a vertical kick with that foot, right? You can see he's pushing off this foot. He's trying to gain depth here. But as soon as that foot's down, suddenly his base is super narrow. His shoulders are turned. This is not ideal footwork to go against a Hall of Fame pass rusher. Because I think his shoulders, if he's running a vertical set, his shoulders are much more square. If it's a jump set, this foot, he's gaining, not depth, width on this play instead. I think maybe he gets caught in 2 different worlds after his first step, but that base is way too narrow, and his shoulders are way too turned against a guy like Parsons. And then all of a sudden you're in a bad situation. You're leaning on him. Your hands aren't in a good place. You can see his hands on the back. You want those hands inside the frame of the pass rusher. And then Parsons, because he's just so strong, he's winning the hand battle initially, just easily gets off of that and cleans this up for a sack. And that's, again, part of being a good pass rusher is taking advantage when the tackle's pass set isn't perfect. And I hope that shows you sometimes that, I hope that makes sense to you as far as the tackle play, that I just think this is a bad rep from the tackle that Parsons takes advantage of. But that's still a good play by Parsons. Tackles can survive improper footwork at times, especially on a quick pass, anything like that. You're dealing with one of the best pass rushers in football in this situation, and he's going to make you pay for it. Unfortunately, NFL Pro did not have footage of the final drive uploaded during the time of this recording. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm happy to get into that at a later time. But that doesn't take away from all the film that we saw of one of the best pass rushers in football having his best game of the season and a breakout performance. More than doubled his sack total for the season in a single game. Parsons is a game changer on this defense. And I know things aren't perfect. Nate Hobbs is a concern. The defensive line's a concern with Devontae Wyatt out. There's still some pieces that the defense is figuring out, but man, a lot of problems get solved when you have a Hall of Fame pass rusher at your disposal. And that's why the Packers traded for Parsons, gave up so much for him, and gave him a record historic extension. So let me know what you think of his performance and what you expect from the Packers going forward in the comments. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk about a specific quarterback from my alma mater in Indiana University. We're going to talk about Fernando Mendoza, and I think I've figured out my pro comp for him. So be tuned, stay tuned for that, and we'll be back on Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching. Best available.